VikesNow, I am Dustin Baker. The draft is over. Let's put it that way. 3 somewhat glorious days. The third day is really rapid fire. And I think we kind of learned this is the way it's going to be for the next 2 drafts for the Vikings. We have these big ass lulls where we're like, oh, can't they do something? Nope. That was the price to pay for J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner on night number 1, which I still haven't met anybody that's been like, I hate it. I hate it. I really can't find those folks that think those are 2 bad things. So we are going to kick off the post-draft era, the McCarthy era. Brevin, we have Alex Micheletti. He has joined us again. He was on about a month ago, and we try to predict all this stuff. And here we are to hash out the outcome. So Brevin, what do you got first for Alex? And we'll go through some of the things that he liked, disliked, free agents, all the shebang. What do you want to ask him out of the gate?
Yeah, so I feel like, and Dustin kind of hinted at it, like there's a lot to like with this draft, unless you like really cared about where the picks for next year sit, which I don't, because that's in a year from now and that can change. So what are, again, a lot to like, what are some of your favorite things that Kwesi cooked up for us in this draft?
Yeah, I liked how aggressive he was to get Dallas Turner, because who would have ever thought that he would have been available where he was. And so it was nice to see him trade up. And like you mentioned too, I mean, who cares about the future picks? I mean, they have so much money coming in free agency next off season too, so that can offset, and they're going to get comp picks back, and so there's always ways to get back into the draft, as we saw them move up to get Dallas Turner. So I'm not too worried about that. So it was really nice to see Kwesi be so aggressive, and he targeted positions that are critical to be successful. So it was nice to get the rush that they needed, and then the quarterback that they hope can be the franchise quarterback for a while.
Yeah, and we talked.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, we talked this whole process about like if Drake May is going to be the guy that you trade up for, which reporting, like we were kind of sure that he was going to be the guy, and it came out. I think the Athletic reported it, like New England upped the price at the 12th hour or whatever that saying is, which understandable. That's what they should do. The thought process was, okay, we're going to unload 3 at least first round picks for May, and if that's not going to happen, we're going to unload 2 first round picks for McCarthy and move up to 5 or something. Instead, Atlanta saves my life, like I said yesterday, and takes Michael Penix so we can't.
Right.
And JJ McCarthy falls to 10. We send the 4th and 5th round pick, which, like, whatever. It's a trade chart value loss, but like, shut up, nerds.
Right.
You get your quarterback. So like, just the fact that you think if you're getting a quarterback, you're sending at least 2 first rounders, like swapping a first rounder, and you're sending 23. The fact that you walk out with JJ McCarthy and you walk out with Dallas Turner, which again, I think after everything, the Dallas Turner trade ended up being like going back to before the Houston trades, like 2 seconds, a 3rd, 4th, and 5th or something, which again, shut up, nerds. You got one of the best defensive players in the draft, top 3. He's not like the most NFL ready, but I think he will be NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year easily. Or not easily, I won't say that, but he's got a shot. So I think that was my favorite thing, just the fact that you walk out with that absolute haul and you have your first round picks the next couple of years still.
Yeah, it's gigantic, and they're 2 of the youngest guys, coming out of the draft at their position, so they have a lot of time to to develop, especially JJ. If they don't think he's good to go, or to start right away, he can take the time to develop, and don't rush the guy. I thought it was a really interesting quote from Kevin O'Connell that says that the teams kind of destroy guys, young quarterbacks. It's not the quarterback failing themselves. So that was interesting to hear that. And they have him, they have McCown, they have Darnold that can help him get ready, and because there's gonna be an adjustment. Not everybody is CJ Stroud, so I think we really have to temper expectations. Same thing what Dustin said too. If he struggles initially, you can't just say, oh, it's over. So we just have to temper expectations right away for him.
There was a game in 2019, I remember it vividly, where the Bills played the Dolphins in Miami. It was just a random regular season game, and Josh Allen looked like shit. And I remember thinking, like, man, I thought this guy had a chance. And I mean, even I didn't like write him off and say, well, but I remember thinking, man, he's got a long way to go. He's never going to be quite that good. And it's just an example that comes to mind because I remember how off target he was. So yes, we're going to need that patient. There's going to be a lot of
growing pains. Yeah.
That's just the way, especially when the guy just turned 21. You'll have to forgive me here, Alex. Brevin and Josh Fry and I talked about 50 people in the lead up to this draft. Were you Drake May over McCarthy, or were you? How long did it take?
Yeah,
I was take you to warm up to McCarthy on Thursday.
Yeah, I was Drake May. I was kind of upset, after it happened, but I've calmed down a little bit about it. But he has the moxie, he has everything. We've seen it in the press conferences, and he's really playing up to Minnesota, the state of hockey, that all that jargon. You can't deny everywhere he's played, he's won, in high school and in college, and he won an Natty. So, I mean, the unknowns are, they didn't throw it a whole lot, but that was the Harbaugh offense. So we'll see what he does with Kevin O'Connell, and they're going to throw the ball, here. So it's, when you have Justin Jefferson. So, I also thought it was pretty interesting that him and JJ share, or Jefferson and JJ share the same agents. So, I mean, there's clearly a relationship there, and hopefully that's a good sign for an extension for Jefferson here in the next couple days or so.
We're going to figure out, like you said, in a pass happy offense, if the guy has the gumption to throw it 40 times. Unlike, yeah, because unless Kevin O'Connell, it'd be kind of cool if Kevin O'Connell did flip a switch and say, hey, we're balanced now. But usually that's not how we do things. I was along with Brevin, a very vocal May guy.
Same
and the best way I can put it will alienate some of our viewers, but it just came to mind. For me, it was like the difference between a blowjob and a hand job. It was like, I'm going to enjoy both. I just preferred one over the other. And that's where I landed with McCarthy. I did really enjoy that they didn't have to trade the first three, the 3 first rounders, because for what I wanted, those were gone. I was like, nope. If we get them for 3 first rounders, Drake May, that is, then that's a steal because of the way this son of a bitch has been talked up to 4 first rounders plus Darisaw while you're at it. So once the board got down to the Falcons or whatever, I was like, well, that's gone, because now if they trade, it's only going to cost an extra 4th. But I will reiterate forever, the Falcons could have destroyed everything if they were smart and taken J.J. McCarthy.
Well, the Giants too.
Yeah. Well, the Giants, I think, must have been a smokescreen the whole time because they didn't have to trade anything. Maybe they just love Drake May or something like that. We know the feeling. But if the Falcons were going to effectuate this little plan of theirs, like God love them, then you take the 21-year-old quarterback, not the 24-year-old. Because once we know Cousins' contract is winding down, whether it's only 2 years or it's 3, Penix is going to be 27, 28. And so for me to believe in the Falcons' plan, the only thing that made sense would have to get the youngest quarterback in the draft. But thankfully, they're not my problem. And I can't believe that they took Penix, let alone Penix over McCarthy, if they wanted to do that strategy.
You could imagine my surprise.
And Dallas Turner was right there for them too. Their defense, they needed that, and they just decided not to do it. It was mind-boggling. Or get a wide receiver for him. That was Adunze was right there, who I'm worried about now that he's a Bear. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, this North is just stacked of just phenomenal wide receivers.
I was asked on Friday morning on a show, who won night number 1, and I said, well, unfortunately, it was the Bears, because they got what they wanted without having to do any type of trade, and basically Caleb Williams was free from last year's trade. So as long as they don't mess him up, they got what they wanted. All right, we've talked about the good, which is obviously the first rounders. I'm going to guess on future shows we'll talk about the upside of Kyrie Jackson, probably some of these sweet undrafted free agents. But give me some of the bad that made you roll your eyes in the last 3 days, if anything.
Uh, I just wish they would have targeted a wide receiver.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. Just to have the third wideout, because Powell's more of a wide receiver 4, so, and a punt returner. So that would have been nice, because like we talked off air, I mean, there's so many wide receiver 3 type guys. And Jerry Rice's son was right there too. I was shocked how late
Multiple
he went.
times.
Yeah, multiple times. That would have been nice, just for nostalgia and having Jerry at Vikings games. But yeah, I mean, that was one. And then at guard, I thought they could have, because they're still unknown with Blake Brandel, basically penciled in as a starter right now. So that was curious that they decided to draft a kicker when they could have waited on that for sure. So that was kind of puzzling.
Yeah, poor Parker Romo. He had a month in the sun as the guy, which will probably I mean, if he wins the job, I guess that would be kind of cool, because it means he's that good, but it will mean a kind of a disaster draft decision to get Reichard. So, Brevin, what did I haven't heard your dislikes yet, now that we got 3 days we got all of the draft in the books.
Honestly, it's so hard to come up with a dislike of this class. Right. I mean, I guess just the timing of where they selected some of the players would be my biggest gripe, but like that just feels like nitpicking. The Walter Roos, I think is how you pronounce it, out of Oklahoma. Like that's solid depth. I know it's a good pick logically, but it was like, man, like I kind of would have liked a receiver. Or they didn't draft an interior. Well, they drafted with the last pick that guy that nobody had ever heard of, and I like
Jurgens, right?
No, so that was the center. That was my least favorite pick in general. But I think we had to pick 2 picks later, literally, and at 232, he took a Levi. I just
Drake
tweeted
Rodriguez.
Exactly, yeah.
And Texas A&M Commerce.
Yeah, I was like,
I didn't even know that was a real school.
Yeah, so I was like, I mean, all right. If I don't know who this guy is, not that I'm like the football all-knowing, this is a Brian Flores like special request. And then there's a report that surfaces like this guy is the most hidden prospect of this draft, and I was like, oh,
was that the Athletic article?
Yeah, like Prospect X or something. So yeah, now I love it, but yeah, like the timing of the picks, I guess, would be my biggest nitpick, and then I didn't really like the pick at 230 with that center. But again, like at worst, that's O-line competition and depth that we desperately need. And speaking on the kicker thing, John Parker Romo didn't respond to my DM inviting him on VikesNow or the Scotia Network, so this is what he gets.
Karma.
Yep. If he just would have been on this show, there would be no draft pick for Will Reichard. I want to talk about a couple things from what Alex said on WR3. This is to bolster or to be in support of what you said. I truly would not really give a damn if they didn't draft anybody like they did not if Hawkinson was healthy, because he, per target load, is the de facto WR3. Well, now he's probably not going to be around for at least a month. So, they're kind of in dangerous territory, especially if McCarthy starts right away, which is kind of a long shot, because the way that we talk about Brandon Powell, Jalen Naylor, and Trent Sherfield, that should be a WR4 debate. And we're making a WR3 debate. I thought for sure they would grab Javon Baker, Jamari Thrash, somebody. But for some reason, they must just know somebody, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, that they can get as a WR3, because those guys are out there on the free agent wire. But with Hawkinson hurt, it felt like a prime time to emphasize WR3. I was a little disappointed that they didn't come out with a running back. I know that they can just get one next year if Aaron Jones leaves or looks washed at some point in the season, but those running backs are always so free. Like you could just get them wherever in the draft. Like we're talking about Jonathan Brooks as like just gravy somewhere in round 2 for any team that wants them. And I really wish the Vikings would have got one of them. Like was it Isaac Garendo from Louisville? His RAS was so sweet. But
Braylon Allen too. He was an absolute stud at Wisconsin. He just destroyed the Gophers every time.
And he's going to the Jets now.
Yeah,
I think they got 2 running backs.
They took 2,
yeah. So I was disappointed that there was no running back, mainly because the running game has sucked for 2 years. But I guess it gives me encouragement that they really like Chandler. So we can have an honest to goodness Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler platter. And the last thing on this topic is when we get into the minutia of saying like, yeah, I didn't really care for that 6th rounder. I totally agree that the final 2 guys could have been UDFAs. But what fans don't realize, and I've given this speech before on the show, is that not every guy who's drafted is supposed to become a starter. Like, we can always dream that, hey, we're getting that 6th round offensive lineman and he's going to start at some point. That would be great. But there are guys who are drafted specifically to be depth players. That is their role in football. It's like Jaron Hall last year. It would have been great if he was a badass and, just mesmerize us all. But you have to have players that are QB2s and QB3s or in center C2s.
The Patriots took Joe Milton. They didn't have to, but they saw the guy with the bazooka arm and
yeah,
exactly.
So when we get past round 4, I really would like Vikings fans and all fans to say, all right, well, this guy they're drafted, he's going to be the 4th safety on the team, and that's pretty sweet. Rather than, well, we need a defensive tackle, so why didn't we spend our 6th rounder? That guy's not even going to play. He'll be lucky if he makes the practice squad. So if you want like solutions, you have to go in the top 3 rounds to nail it in free agency. And we have to start understanding that after round 4, it's all about having guys that can play in a pinch that can fill out your roster. It's like, just because Tom Brady ruined it for everybody, like, oh, they're gonna get the next 6th rounder, that's gonna be those guys are so rare. And every round you go down the draft board, it's rarer. So that is my soapbox. What else we got, Brevin, for Alex Micheletti?
Yeah, I guess it's really easy to talk about quarterback right now, JJ being here, McCarthy being here. Also, let me know what you think about the nickname of, since we have McCarthy and Jefferson, the VJJs, like the Vikings VJJs. So we can workshop that one. Let us know down in the comments after you subscribe and like. But with JJ McCarthy, do you think this is something to where we'll be seeing him week 1, be seeing him week 8, not seeing him at all? What's your take on it?
I mean, they paid Darnold $10 million, so I don't think you would pay him that much to just be on the bench right away. And I think they want to be careful with McCarthy. Like we talked about, he's the youngest quarterback coming out of the draft here, so it would be nice for him to just develop and then take over. Kind of like Mahomes sat and then took over for Alex Smith. So, not comparing Mahomes to McCarthy, but it would be nice for him to just get used to the NFL life and develop, get stronger. He's not the biggest guy when you take a look at him. So it would be nice to just let him unless it becomes a complete disaster with Darnold, as it's been throughout his career. I mean, he hasn't been placed in the best positions, but the pressure from the fans might get him to start halfway through. So we'll see. Ideally, it would be nice to have him sit the entire season, but like I said, circumstances with Darnold might change things very fast.
Yeah, and I think it is fair to compare McCarthy to Mahomes because the last time that a quarterback was drafted 10th overall was Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So if you want to like lie to yourself, I just gave you a good one. But yeah, with that, and Thor, of course, Nystrom, friend of the show, love Thor. He has been kind of at the forefront of course of like the McCarthy train as a whole. Like, this dude might have legitimately moved like betting lines.
Unbelievable. I mean, he ended up on he did a pod with Colin Cowherd too. I mean, he's going national.
JJ McCarthy might owe this guy his career. I'm not even like he's got to get a cut at some money here. And he's kind of been at the forefront too, going hand in hand with that. Like, he's much more NFL ready than people realize. And if that is true, like, I don't necessarily disagree with it, but if that is true, just because he is, and Minnesota might realize that, doesn't mean that he has to start right away. Right. He can be ready to go right now, but quarterbacks just benefit so much from sitting that year, like, if Minnesota's out of it, start him week 16 on, which they probably will be most likely out of the play. I don't know. The NFC sucks, so I could be wrong. But yeah, I just think there's no need. And I think there's a report that came out like Kevin O'Connell literally came out with See where my mind is
A
already.
lot of sex references to
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We have
Look what
Vikes
you did,
now
Alex.
love
Yeah.
sex with women. I think that there's a report that came out that Kevin O'Connell has like a list of bookmarks. I don't know, like benchmarks and milestones for like
What are what's on
McCarthy
your
to hit.
bookmark?
I don't know.
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
probably like boobies on women or something. But yeah, like he's got milestones for McCarthy to hit, and like he can't play until he hits them. So I don't know. It sounds like Kevin O'Connell subscribes to my theory as well, which he should. He's smart.
I can go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you take a look at, I mean, the division is a gauntlet now. I think just with the quarterbacks and the offenses, and so you don't want to throw him in there and have it, really, like we talked about the growing pains. It could really affect him, and he's such a, as we know, like mental vibes type of guy. You see his Instagram picture is Yoda like meditating. So yeah, he's an interesting cat for sure, and but he plays with a lot of confidence too, and you don't want to ruin that too by throwing him in there, and we don't know what the defense is fully going to look like, but it could, if he does have to play, that helps having a defense, put him in good, field positions too, and so yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting because there's gonna be a lot of fan pressure. You already saw a bunch of people trying to order his jersey, and so yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Alex, I'm going to tell you this right here and now, and it's dawned on me these last 3 days. I am not a big Sam Darnold guy. I don't know anybody that really is a huge Sam Darnold
no
guy.
one is.
But I can tell you right now in my bones. You remember last year when Jefferson got hurt and we sarcastically said, "Watch, we're going to start winning games." I can feel it in my bones that Darnold's going to be too good to bench. Not like forever, but he's going to be too good because the system is glorious. O'Connell and McCown are going to be the whisperers. And I can already feel it that there's going to be a small group of people that said, I don't know if we can let Sam Darnold go. I think that is how well it's going to go. Because even when I said the thing about Jefferson last year, I didn't really believe it, but I believed that it was a Vikings thing that would happen, that they would get effing better when the best player was hurt. And
Nick Mullins was throwing for 400. Like what was going on? Yeah, it's amazing.
So I am mentally preparing myself for it. I mean, I'm obviously going to be McCarthy no matter what.
Right.
But it's going to be the quote unquote most Vikings thing ever when Sam Darnold plays too well for McCarthy to get a glimpse, even if McCarthy has checked off these benchmarks. So I can just feel it. All right,
it's Darnold's last chance too.
Yes.
And
his back's against the wall.
He's going to have the ultimate motivator there to continue his career or try to get another starting job after this.
Yeah, this is it for him in terms of being a starter. Otherwise, he'll bounce around forever as a
Chase Daniel.
Yep, and then he'll show up in certain games and look great because he has the skill set, like we all knew in 2018. We've seen that a million times in terms of a QB2 with a reclamation. All right, final thing in a couple minutes or less. Free agency. All of a sudden, whether it's, interior defensive line, although that's down to Nubbins, a wide receiver like we talked about, who's a free agent or two that the Vikings should go sign because it looks like they're going to need to.
Yeah, this is a guy that I was shocked at when I was looking at the free agency list. I can't believe Tyler Boyd is still a free agent. He's been a reliable wide receiver in this league for a bit now, and I think he's 29, so he's not he's not Adam Thielen age. So I mean, he still has some gas in the tank. Another guy that I've always enjoyed watching play, Michael Gallup in Dallas. He was so reliable for Dak down there, and I think he'd be a great wide receiver 3, a good red zone guy. And then I mean, our guy Dalton Reisner is still available. I don't know. That is so. I have no idea what's going on with that. I mean, every time they talk to ask Quezzy about it, he kind of just plays it off. So I don't know why they wouldn't give him another chance. I mean, he knows the system, and he's 28, 29. So yeah, he's not over 30 over the hill. So I think those are a couple of guys that would help.
The thing on Reisner, and I started thinking about this today, we kind of have this deadline by if he signs somewhere in the next 3 days, then the Vikings can get their compensatory. And I'm wondering, just like, with the tinfoil hat thing, maybe they'll just sign him on May 2nd because they thought, hey, well, we know we're going to need draft picks, bitch. And we found out we need draft picks. Maybe the plan is to see, hey, well, we're going to need that pick. If somebody wants him before then, great. But now that he's still available and we won't get that, then hell, we'll sign him back for 2 years and $14 million or whatever he's going to ask for. I don't have that any good sourcing or intel. I'm just trying to think. I can never understand why nobody wants that guy in free agency. But it's either Blake Brandel, him, or there's really not a ton of free agents.
They're all over 30-ish. Or I saw Andreas Pete. He's been in the league for a while, but I mean, there isn't a whole lot of options. It was the same thing, like you said, like with the defensive tackles. There's not a whole lot out there.
Calais Campbell or bust.
Or Linval. Or did Linval sign? Yeah, I mean, they're both. I mean, those guys are they're pushing close to 40, which is amazing that they're still playing.
All right, Alex, we'll hit you up in probably about a month, and that will be starting to nibble at the June festivities. By the time we talk to you next, we'll have a schedule, and I'm sure we'll go through that with a fine-tooth comb. Anything else for the group, Alex?
No, I mean, it was, exciting. One of the most exciting drafts, we were all super excited for. And they got their quarterback, hopefully, and got Dallas Turner, the best defensive player in the draft, too. So, I mean, it was a home run for Kwesi. And, we'll see when they get on the grass and start up playing in the fall.
We wanted them to be bold, and they were bold. All right, Alex, we'll talk to you in about a month, all right?
Sounds good.
Take it easy. Thank you.